I want to give you guys 4 stocks that I'm really bullish on. 2, I think, one's going to blow your mind, one's going to surprise you. I think 2 of them are going to be like, oh, that's kind of surprising. And one particularly, I think you guys might be like, what? Batman Zoom? So let's first talk about Delta earnings and how this plays into what I'm going to give you. Make sure you stick around for that. But Delta Airlines reported earnings this morning. I am a holder of Delta Airlines. I took a position in it because I wanted to play earnings, really the lead up into earnings and really the travel demand, international travel demand coming back because it had lagged. Talk to you guys about all that stuff. They outperformed. They've missed 4 quarters in a row, so I was a little bit nervous, but they beat. Earnings per share estimates were $1.38, a loss of $1.38. They came in at a loss of $1.07, which was great. Revenue beat estimates were $6.22 billion. They came in at $7.13 billion. But let me talk to you about a couple things to consider with the earnings call. One is the bear case could be there was federal aid included in the earnings. Potentially you could say that. The other bear case is the CEO talked about how these numbers were, this past quarter was 43% lower than the same quarter in 2019. That's a legitimate bear case.
Right.
And the next, so we'll stop there. So those are 2 big things. Obviously, the bear case can also be international travel. Now, if we talk about the bull case and we talk about the market being a forward-looking vessel, I am going to try to compel you that actually a lot of these same things that may look bearish on the surface are actually very bullish, and why I added to it. And I added pretty substantially to it after earnings today. So one thing is international travel. International travel will open up, and I don't know if, is there any doubt that international travel is going to crush it?
No, yes.
So what the CEO also said was domestic travel was to pre-pandemic levels. So all that means is the reason we're down is due to international travel. And I think that's going to more than make up for the losses from 2019, comparatively to 2019. Domestic is going to continue to grow. You add international to that, I don't think there's going to be any issue that it's going to beat it. So for example, I mentioned the 43% down from the same quarter in 2019. Well, they're expecting next quarter for it to be about 30 to 35% down. So you're moving in the right direction. You're moving towards profitability, which the CEO already also mentioned. All those things are good signs. And I believe that 30% down over 2019, I think that's pretty conservative. I think that's just really expecting international restrictions to still be high. Once international restrictions are lifted, this thing's going to go off. Numbers are going to be through the roof. So I'm excited about that. I will say right now, if I'm looking through the end of the year, so these are my top airline stocks through the end of the year, I will put Delta Airlines at pole position. It's hard for me. It was hard for me to pick number 1. Number 2 is Southwest, and I think you can flip either one. The only reason I'll say that is because Southwest has already been running, and I think that you can't go wrong either way. I just think there's more upside for Delta.
Yeah.
In regards to that, so 1 or 2, they're both going to be monsters through the end of the year. I think they're going to do well. Number 3, airline stock to buy for the rest of the year is going to be Spirit Airlines. Similarly, basically Spirit is a younger Southwest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You've talked about break-even load factor.
Yes.
And so Southwest wins in that front. But I do think that Spirit's going to continue to dominate. And I think from a domestic perspective, I think there's room for both of them. And I actually think that Southwest is kind of moving away to like a low-cost airline. I think they still provide a lot of conveniences, right? You can cancel, there's no change fees. But when I look at the pricing, it's not as low as it used to be. So it seems to me, and warranted enough, it seems to me that that's a good move for them. So there's this void for low-cost airlines that I think Spirit slides right in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with the Spirit Airlines side of things too. We've seen this make huge moves in the past, especially in the height of the pandemic when a lot of people were getting into some of the airline stocks. And this one was one, I guess that you could say was had that feeling of a meme stock to a certain degree, but for good reason. Now, I will say, out of all of these, Fatmans, I mean, we've talked about our favorite being Southwest. Southwest is the only one that's actually holding the 200-day moving average. You look at Southwest, this purple line is represented by the 200-day, and it's holding that line rather well. Delta Airlines is below that, and so is Spirit Air Systems. So from a technical standpoint, Southwest still looks like it's a good one, but all of these look like they are approaching oversold territory, and I think that these are all going to be pretty relatively decent buys. Once we get through July and all the noise that's been created by inflation and stuff, and people start realizing, hey, these earnings are actually knocking it out of the park and the economy is doing better than we thought, I think that these airline stocks, the travel stocks in general, are just going to absolutely crush it.
So my number 4 stock is going to, I think, shock you. It's in consideration of potentially international exposure.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
American Airlines.
No.
Ooh, okay.
An international stock, so it's an international airline.
That's American Airlines.
Where is it based out of?
American Air. Oh, you mean like it's based out of the U.S.? Okay.
Yeah.
Because they fly in.
So like Baba is an international stock. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Ryanair.
Oh,
RYAAY.
British company, right?
Yeah. And this is basically the southwest of Europe. They fly all over Europe. And here's why I say it. Now, the argument will say is there's not a ton of volume, but it's a very reliable airline, probably internationally well, I'm going to back off that. But basically, just think of Southwest for the European Union.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say this is because when you're traveling around Europe, I anticipate a similar move that's happening in the U.S. I think a lot of Europeans are going to stay within Europe. They're going to travel internationally, but I think there's going to be a European boom in the EU, and I think Ryanair is going to benefit off of that. WestJet, if you guys are familiar with European airlines, Ryanair is really the top dog. WestJet is pretty popular, but they're affordable airlines. Once you get, a lot of flights land in the UK, land in London or Heathrow or whatever, they usually go there to somewhere else. So Ryanair serves all of the European Union. This is one that's like way off the map, but we talk about diversification of portfolio. This could be one if you're like, you know what, I want like a non-US stock, I want an international stock, one to consider.
Yeah, this is great. This is a great one. One that kind of like flies under the radar.
I see what you did.
I like this one a lot, and I stand corrected. It is Irish. Some of our folks from across the pond are clarifying that for us, so I appreciate that, keeping us honest. But yeah, man, I think that we could see domestic travel.
Isn't Great Britain British?
I do not want to get into that argument.
And then Great Britain is on an island is in Great Britain.
I think I said. Did I say Britain or UK?
You said British.
Okay, British. I don't know if I want to get in that argument. Some people who are Scottish will argue that.
Well, I'm asking. I'm not debating. I'm just curious.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure we're saying correct because I thought British encompassed. Well, I guess Great Britain. Okay, UK and Great Britain are different things. You guys can clarify for us. Sorry. Go ahead.
But this is actually one that's been hugging along the 200-day moving average as well. So I mean, even technically, as long as it holds here, I think it's probably going to be in good shape too. And really, I think that domestic travel from the European side is going to be probably just as much in high demand as it is on the U.S. side, especially because we heard recently that Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, said that the Delta variant or not, they're opening back up. Things are opening back up. It's going to be a thing. So as long as everything opens back up and demand's still there for them too, it's going to be just as strong. And revenge spending is going to take place just as much there as it is here. So, yeah, man, I think that this is going to probably do really well too.
So there you guys have it. My top 4 airline stocks. I think you need to consider airline stocks in general. I think it's time, if you haven't already. I think it's a little bit of a sleeper and not talk that much.